Hey everyone, Prestito here. So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about 3 of my top upcoming pre-sale picks that will be launching on BlastOff. And I'm sure most of you have heard of BlastOff already. It's going to be L2 chain, of course, and it's going to be really huge. The TVL there is already insane. And I think it's very important to stay up to date with the newest projects launching on these new L2s, especially first movers in their categories. For example, BlastOff is going to be one of the first launch pads, which I'll be covering in this video. There's going to be 2 other projects which I'm covering, which are also first movers. So I think getting involved in these can be very lucrative if you invest very early on. So that's what I'm going to be doing in this video. So I did make a video already a while back on Blast itself and how to get involved specifically with the airdrop, and I actually did cover one of these projects in a video I did back in November or December, this BlastOff project actually. So I'm going to be talking a bit more briefly about BlastOff just because I already covered it more in detail, but I want to cover it again since obviously there's some updates on this one. So let's get started with BlastOff, which is going to be the first launch pad on Blast. And they're going to use a really interesting new method in the form of native yield-based launchpad and yield aggregator. So I already covered that in my last video on launchpad, so check that out. I'm not going to go too into detail, but this is going to be huge obviously because it's going to be the first launchpad on Blast network. So if we scroll a bit more down, we can see that token is going to have the ticker OFF, and it's going to be a utility token which is focused on empowering developers and participants of the Blast blockchain. You can see it's going to be used for governance. You can see buyback and burn and yield boosting as well. So let's go a bit more into detail about the BlastOff tokenomics, since now this info is released. Before it was TBA, but now we can see all about it. So you can see seed round, 10% is allocated for that with 20% unlock on TG, then 3-month cliff, then 3-month linear vesting. So within 6 months of TG, they'll have all their tokens. Then IDO launch will be 20% unlock at TG, and then 6-month linear without that cliff. And those are the important ones to look at. You can see team advisors all have a cliff to start off with. So what's important to note is if you're looking to buy and you don't manage to get into any of the sales, like the IDO launch or the seed, you know that there's quite a big cliff for the big round, which is probably the seed round. And that then you can look for an entry, since you know there's no sell pressure from seed investors. So those are the tokenomics. So let's move on to see what you can get involved with at the moment. So right now they're doing idea farming, which is interesting, basically to bring ideas to life on their idea hub. And to participate, you need to head to their Galaxy competition over here and just follow the steps. And I'm sure you know how to use Galaxy by now, so if you want to get involved, that's how you can. Then next up, they also announced here that their testnet is now complete and the hydrogen 4 pool is 100% full, and they already obviously filled the 3 pools before that, so things are looking really good. Over 50,000 stakers, over 12,000 Ethereum stakes with a TVL of over 20 million. So looking really bullish for them. Definitely recommend to go here and give them a follow and stay up to date, especially with when their IDOs going to be live and how to take part. And also as this Galaxy reward, you'll be getting their tokens as a reward. So I definitely recommend you guys to give them a follow and stay up to date. So now let's talk about the next project that I'm going to be talking about, and I'm also very bullish on, and that is FuelOnBlast. As you can see, it's going to be native liquidity loans on Blast L2. They just recently launched. We go to their website, we can look here at what it's all about. Obviously, this is also very important first mover for new L2s. So you can see, what is it? It's going to offer a streamlined platform for creators to easily design and launch their own tokens, complete with customizable features. And tokens can be launched on the creator's chosen DEX, funded either through liquidity loans, which are repayable by taxes or direct payments, or by self-funding. And the platform's native token, which is going to be PAWS, grants users access to additional features, discounts, and more. So here under Create, you can configure your token by setting taxes, liquidity, and rewards to match your vision, and customize features to shape your token's functionality. Then under Fuel, you can see you can select from a variety of DEXs and decide whether to finance your initial liquidity through a loan or by using your own funds. And lastly, you deploy your token to Blast seamlessly with a single click without any coding required. It's going to be really easy and swift for from creation to trading. That all sounds very interesting, and obviously some of the competitors that come to mind, for For example, you have Pink Sale and DX Sale. You can see here how they stand out in comparison. So basically, the only thing they don't have compared to the other two is the pre-sale option, because it's just going to be fair launches, where they're going to have liquidity loans, post-launch tooling, intuitive AI, and protocol rewards. And all of them obviously have the custom token generation. So very bullish on this one. I definitely recommend you guys also give them a follow. Still very early on, so it's easier to get involved. But this is definitely going to be big on L2 Blast. So make sure to stay up to date. Then the last project I'm going to be covering is Planar Finance, which is going to be a native DEX and liquidity infrastructure protocol on Blast. Obviously, DEXs are very important on all L2s. As you know, you have Camelot on Arbitrum, you have Uniswap on Ethereum, PancakeSwap on BSC, and obviously the list goes on and on. So it's always important to get involved in the first DEX if you can. You can make some pro gains like that. So as you can see, liquidity infrastructure redefined, a native DEX and liquidity infrastructure protocol on Blast 2 L2 network, and it's going to be the first complete Camelot fork and more. So they're going to have some of the same features like Camelot, which is obviously the DEX on Arbitrum. So let's go through their overview. I'll just give you a summary of what it is basically. So it's going to focus on providing real yield and infrastructure for protocols through features like multi-curve AMM and dynamic directional fees. Users will benefit from LP NFTs, locking mechanisms, and plugins, enhancing capital efficiency. This is very similar to what Camelot has. And you're going to have protocol leverage launchpad as well, hyperpools and dynamic directional fees for growth, and sustainable tokenomics with dual tokens like Plane and X-Plane, which ensures liquidity and incentivize holders. And Planar embraces permissionless design for decentralized future empowering protocols and the community. So that's just a brief overview of what it's all about. And you can see already some similarities with Camelot. So for example, in terms of their tokens, you can see here they have their Plane token, which is a normal native token, which is liquid and transferable, which you'll trade and so on. And you'll be able to lock it into X-Plane. So the important token is X-Plane because Plane is just a normal tradable token. So if you know about how tokens work on Camelot, then you'll know how these X tokens kind of work. So it's basically via vested escrow model with X-Plane at its core. And to acquire X-Plane, you can stake your Plane tokens at a conversion ratio of 1:1. And acquiring X-Plane is restricted to earning it through yield-bearing positions on incentivized active farms or by directly converting Plane tokens. It can't be purchased or transferred. So this is important for this step specifically. This is what you'll need to know about X-Plane. So basically for X-Plane tokens, you can exchange them for Plane tokens, which is a liquid transferable one. X-Plane is the one you can't. And they'll be subject to a vesting period though. So the length of the vesting period is chosen by the user. Obviously, the longer you vest it, the higher the conversion ratio. So for example, here you can see if you vest it for the minimum period of 15 days, you're only going to be getting 50% Plane tokens from your, for example, if you stake 100 X-Plane, you'll only get 50 Plane on the redemption. Whereas if you stake it for the maximum of 90 days, you'll get it at 1:1. So you'll get all of them fully unlocked. So that is very important to keep in mind. And this also links in to the token vesting and distribution. So we can see here how the tokenomics are for Plane. You can see liquidity mining here. So we've got a very long linear vesting. Public sale will have no vesting, but you get 65% in Plane, which is fully transferable and tradable, but you'll get 35% in X-Plane, which you'll need to redeem and stake in order to get it unlocked over the maximum period or the minimum period if you want to sacrifice some of your tokens, which will actually be burnt, which helps with the token being deflationary. You can see also seed sale here. They get 30% only in tradable tokens and the rest will be vested in X-Plane. Hopefully that all makes sense. And as I said, in terms of the deflationary mechanisms, not only is it through that redemptions where people decide the low vesting, those tokens will get burnt, but also 12.5% of the protocol's earnings is allocated to purchasing and burning Plane, creating constant upward pressure on its value. So these are 3 projects I'm super bullish on that are going to be launching on Blast, which has mainnet coming very soon, I believe. Definitely make sure to give them a follow and stay up to date with what they're going to be posting, and specifically with their public sales, which will be important to take part. Follow me as well to stay up to date with all these projects. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.